Welcome to JasonWhiskyWise. My name is Jason. Welcome to this whiskey review, where today here on the channel we're going to be reviewing the Bunnahabhain 18-year-old. So this is part of my Bunna week, where I'm going to be reviewing 7 Bunnahabhain expressions, and if you have missed any of them, I'll leave them linked here in the top corner and also at the end of the video. So Bunna 18, we're going to be continuing on my series where just in the last video I reviewed the Bunna 12, and I want to say a massive thank you again to my patron Dwayne Lodge, as he's been supporting the channel, so thank you very much, Dwayne. I raise a dram to you. But the Bunna 18, it's an 18-year-old whiskey bottled at an ABV of 46.3% ABV. This one is exclusively also matured in sherry casks. And in terms of the distillery, it is the Bunna Distillery, or the Bunnahabhain Distillery. They're owned by the parent company, the Distill Group, and they're located on Islay, Scotland, and specifically the western coast of Islay. Now, the price point on a full-size bottle of the Bunna 18, here in London at the minute, it's around about £105. If you asked me 2 years ago, when I was getting into whiskey a lot more and just started my adventure, when I saw it in the shops, I noted that it was around about £80 and just a bit under than 80 or 78. So it has seen quite a steep price increase in the past 2 years. However, in terms of exclusivity, it's part of the core range, so it's not exclusive, and it doesn't contain caramel colour, as they like to keep it the way it should be, naturally coloured and non-chill filtered. Let's jump straight into the nose of this whiskey. I can't wait. Into the nose. Let's get started on the aromas on the nose for the Bunna 18. First things up, I'm getting this nice red berry character of sour cherries. A combination actually of red berries together, so you got a little bit of raspberries, red currants, hints of salted caramel, bringing in that maritime character, that saltiness really driving itself through, but not being dominant. It's sort of very well married together with all these other flavors coming out from the nose. For me, I'm actually getting a very interesting note, and this reminds me of those shortbread biscuits that you get here, or they call it Scottish shortbread. It really reminds me of that. When you smell that, you get a nice sweetness of that sugary, sort of buttery goodness from the shortbread. And then there's this leathery note, which takes you completely off guard. Maybe a little bit of like a warm, leathery note. There is a little bit of spice as well on this one on the nose, and it's not intense. It's quite a light, almost a sweet clove spice, whereas if you've taken cloves and you just wash them a couple times, maybe just brought out a little bit of that sweeter character, and it's very gentle on the nose. There's hints of nutmeg as well that sort of develop further as you keep this whiskey longer in the glass. And it's all sort of rounded and sort of married together, and you get this really lovely, sweeter honey note. And for me, I may have mentioned in my past video, I spoke about different types of honey to develop your palate. And for me, this one specifically reminds me of Manuka honey. Really nice richness about it. So that's about it for the nose. Let's jump straight into the palate next. Sláinte. So to get started on the palate for this whiskey, actually before I do that, I want to ask you guys a question of the day, and I'm going to leave it here down below in the comment section as well. What's your favourite Bunna expression? So what's your favourite Bunnahabhain expression? Please do leave it down below in the comment section. I'll be interested to hear which one do you find your favourite. Now, it could be even a single cask bottling. It could be a limited edition. It could be the crazy 40-year-old. Do let me know in the comment section, as I'd really be interested to see which ones you like the most. But in terms of my flavour profile on the actual palate for the actual Bunna 18, starting off things off, I'm finding it's got a medium texture. It's actually a little bit lighter than the 12-year-old. That's one thing I like doing these verticals, because I really get to see exactly how each one plays to one another. But we start out with a lot more of a spicier character on this one. The sweet cloves are back, and it's almost like sweet cloves adding that mouth-warming character, allspice, hints of ginger biscuits. And when I say ginger biscuits, it adds that mouth-warming character, but then you get this little bit of sweetness coming off the back end, and to me it feels like as if you had the ginger biscuits with even a little bit of a slight maltier note just on the end. You do get this nice sea breeze character, that little bit of saltiness, but it's not intense. And that's one thing I found throughout all the Bunnahabhains, is that you get a very nice, gentle, salty character, but it's not intense, and that's something that makes it very nice and enjoyable. In terms of that, after that though, you do get a lot of these sherried fruits coming through, these prunes, these dark plums, these figs coming through right on the palate, even hints of these sort of very, I'd say, rum-soaked raisins. And then as that follows through from that, you get a slight bitter note. And this bitter note for me is like dark chocolate. Yeah, it's almost like dark chocolate. I want to say dark chocolate raisins, combining that raisins and the dark chocolate together. One could do that. But for me, I feel they're almost independent of one another. And that bitter note comes right at the end, just finishing off the notes on the actual palate. So let's get into our last bit and find what we find on the finish. Now to conclude for the Bunna 18, in terms of my actual opinions on the finish of this whiskey, lengthwise, you've got a nice medium, maybe medium full finish for the Bunna 18. You get those true dark fruits, those dark plums coming in, that leathery note. At the same time, you get that salted caramel, adding a little bit of sweetness and really just rounding things out on the finish. But now it comes to the point where I give you my opinion and my overall sort of rating and comments on this whiskey. And for me, I'm giving this one here a 90 out of 100. For me, I would actually score this one a little bit higher, but there were factors that brought this one down. One being the price at 105. I personally feel that's a bit too much when it comes to an 18-year-old whiskey. I think 18-year-old whiskeys should be between at least, let's say, £70 to 85 tops. As soon as they go, in excess of that price range, I feel they're sort of asking a bit too much, and that whiskey then has to suddenly deliver 10 times as much to really meet that expectation. So I think price-wise, it's a bit too much. Overall, though, if I'm looking at the whiskey and evaluating the whiskey's characters, it's a really lovely whiskey. It's got great balance, lots of these fruitier profiles. The sherry casks are really coming through, and it's very well balanced in that sense. It's got a nice structure about this whiskey. However, I do also pick out that bitter note, and I don't know if it's just me or maybe other people as well pick out a bitter character, but I felt that was sometimes a little bit overpowering and not as what I felt would have gone perfectly with the Bunna 18. But I'm going to be trying to pick up an old Bunna 18 and compare it to that, as this sample I did pick up from Master Malt for my unboxing videos a couple months ago, maybe even last year. So, do I think it needs water or does it need time? Personally, it doesn't really need water to this whiskey. The more time you give it, though, the more it actually develops and lets this one open out. And that's something I feel that would really work well. So if you do have a Bunna 18 open, give it a little bit of time and you'll start to see this one really develop further for you and really give you a much more enjoyable dramming experience. So on that note, I'm going to wrap the video at that. This is a 90 out of 100 for the Bunna 18. Let me know your thoughts as well down below in the comment section. I'll leave a subscribe button over there. I'll leave some other Bunna 18 videos on screen. This has been me, JasonWhiskyWise, and I'll catch you for the next video. Slàinte.